Happy Thursday, freshmen. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Today, remember, is going to be actually the last day of classes for the week because we're taking that Friday as that kind of, I think they're calling it an augmented learning day, so you can use that to catch up, or if you're all caught up, you can use it to either get ahead or to rest. So this will be the last day of videos for this week. But what I'd like you to do today for bell work is I'd like for you to take this verb muto mutare and then this verb teneo tenera, and I'd like for you to conjugate them both and translate them in the present passive indicative. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and conjugate these two verbs. All right, then looking what you got here. So for muto, remember the very first form, you take the first principal part and then you add that passive ending R. And then all the rest of them, you'll take the stem, which is muta. And then you add your ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. Okay, and remember our special song, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. And that's passive voice. All right, and second conjugation, we'll do the same thing, except you'll notice second conjugation just has all those E's in it. All right, and the translation for these, okay, this is important. Make sure you know how to translate the passive. So I am changed, you are changed, he is changed, we are changed, y'all are changed, and they are changed. And then I am held, you are held, and so on. Okay, so remember with the passive, this is very important. In the passive voice, the subject is receiving the action rather than doing the action. Okay, so that's what your bell work should look something like that. All right, and then as a quick review here, these are how you do the imperfect and the future. All right, so imperfect and future, both of these you're going to take the stem of the verb. And for the imperfect, you'll add bar, baris, bater, bomber, bomini, bonter. Okay, so that BA and then the passive endings. And then for the future, you'll have bo, be, bye, boo. Or as one person put it, bo, be, triple, bye, boo. And then your passive ending. So bor, baris, bitter, bimmer, bimini, and bunter. All right, so that would be how you do the future passive. All right, now, a couple new things. One other thing we learned in this chapter is how to do infinitives, okay? And we learned about present active infinitives way back in, I think, chapter 1, actually. So the infinitive is just your second principal part of the verb. So muto, mutare. Your infinitive is that mutare. Teneo, tenera. Your infinitive is tenera. And it's translated to and then verb. So to change, to hold. All right. And the infinitive has several different uses. Right now, the only ones you need to know about really, complementary infinitive. Okay, so if it's with possum or debeo, or another verb where it just kind of completes the meaning. And then sometimes it can also be act like a regular noun. Okay, so for example, if you were to say something like, it is difficult to change the light bulb. Okay, so to change would be like a predicate nominative or something like that. All right. Now, that is the active infinitive, present active infinitive. Now, in this chapter, we learn how to make those passive. Now, if you look at these two, comparing mutare to the passive over here, you'll notice there's only one letter different, okay? So the E in mutare changes to an I, and you get mutari. Likewise, the E, the last E in tenera, changes to an I, and you get teneri. Okay, and that is all you have to do to make a present active infinitive present passive. Okay, and then when you translate it, it's still going to start with to, but instead of to change, it's going to be to be changed. Instead of to hold, it's going to be to be held. All right, so that is how you do present passive infinitives. Okay, now, one other thing really for today, we're going to talk about a new ablative use, okay? And this is called the ablative of agent, okay? You can think James Bond or something like that. Now, the ablative of agent, we said that passive voice, your subject is receiving the action, not doing the action. So, if you want to know who is doing the action, all right, you're going to have to use the ablative case. Now, if it's going to be a person, this is important. If it's a person that's doing the action, then you're going to use what's called the ablative of agent. So that's our definition here. The definition for ablative agent is the person doing an action in a passive sentence or some sort of passive construction. All right? So that is an ablative of agent. Now, how to recognize it? There are three things to look for. First of all, it needs to be a person or some sort of animate being. I suppose an animal could be. Then you also have to have a passive verb. It can be present passive indicative or imperfect future, whatever. Can even be a passive infinitive as well. Okay, and then the third thing to look for is you need to have the preposition a or ob. Okay, and a and ob are the same thing. It's just you can only use a if the next word starts with a consonant. Okay, sort of like English a and an. It's a similar sort of thing. Okay, so the three words that start with P: person, passive verb, and preposition a or ob. All right, now how to translate it. When you have an ablative of agent, it is going to be translated with the word by. Okay, so that's how you're going to translate a or ob. All right, so let's look at a couple examples here. First one here, adeo mutabar. So mutabars are passive verb. I was changed, and then I was changed, adeo, by God. Okay, so you'll notice this sentence has all three of those things that we need. It is God is a person or animate being, and then we have our passive verb mutabar, and then we have that preposition a. Okay, one other example here. Civis in urbe a rege tenebiter. So the citizen will be held in the city by the king. Okay, so notice our three things there. We've got king, he's a person. Tenebiter, that's our passive verb. And then we have a, the preposition a. All right, so the citizen will be held by the king. All right, so you'll notice in both of these sentences, our subject is not doing anything. I am not doing anything. The citizen is not doing anything. All right, so you need that ablative of agent to tell you who is doing the action. All right, now the ablative of agent is very similar in idea to what we've already learned, the ablative of means. So I wanted to review the ablative of means with you real quick so you could tell these two ablative uses apart. Okay, so ablative of means, rather than being a person, this is going to be a thing that is used to do an action. All right, and it's going to be how to recognize it. It's going to be a thing, usually something that is tangible or concrete, so something that you can touch. All right, generally speaking, rather than with the ablative of agent, a person. Okay, ablative of means also will not have a Latin preposition. Okay, there will be no Latin preposition, whereas ablative of agent, you had to have that a or ob. All right, and then ablative of means can be used with both passive and active verbs. You'll see it with both. Okay, translation, it can also be translated by, it can also be translated with as well. Okay, so both of those are viable translations. Okay, and then an example here, I was held in the city by chains or with chains, okay? So chains were being used to hold me, all right? Now you'll notice chains is not going to be an ablative of agent because chains are not people, okay? It's a thing, all right? And it's what's being used to hold me, okay? So that's the difference between ablative of agent and ablative of means. I would encourage you, if you look on page 148 of your book, they give you several sample sentences that are helpful, that can kind of show you the difference between ablative of agent and means. So I encourage you to look at those sentences and kind of read them over and review them. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit of homework for you that'll be due on Monday. It will be basically just conjugating and translating some verbs. So please make sure that you do both. You conjugate them and translate them. Okay, so you need to make sure you're doing both. Okay, so hope you guys have a fabulous weekend, and I love you all. Talk to you later.